A 12-volt modular computer? I couldn't say no.
Stick around and we'll get right to it.
When the guys at Ace PC reached out and asked if I wanted to check out their new PicoBox Pro, I was intrigued, especially once I found out that it ran on 12 volts. The contents of the box included all of the normal accessories. You get the computer, the power cord, a bracket to mount the computer to the back of a monitor, and an HDMI cable. This computer sports an Intel N95 processor running at 1.7 gigahertz. It also includes 8 gigs of RAM on board and a 512 gigabyte SSD. It comes preloaded with Windows 11 Pro. It has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I've already mentioned it runs on 12 volts. And most importantly for me, it will also support Linux Mint right out of the box. On the front of the computer, we get the power button, 2 USB 3 ports, 1 USB 2 port. Sliding around to the side, we've got a barrel connector for our DC input. We've got another USB 2.0 port. We've got 2 HDMI ports. Both of these support 4K video output. We've got the LAN connection, and we've got a microphone and headphone jack. On the bottom of the computer, we can access these 2 screws to add an additional hard drive, or we can simply slide these 2 latches and then remove the cover, making this a much smaller computer. Once you've got that bottom piece separated, you can remove these 4 screws and go ahead and get access to the internals of the computer. The built-in SSD can be replaced and supports up to a 2 terabyte hard drive. From here, if we remove 2 additional screws, we get access to the RAM on the bottom of the board. I went ahead and fired up the built-in Windows Pro version, and after walking through a few of the prompts to get through the setup, I was greeted with the Windows 11 desktop. However, I didn't want to stop there, so I went ahead and loaded Linux Mint onto a thumb drive and booted this machine from the thumb drive. Linux Mint worked out of the box. Everything that I expected to work did, and I had no trouble with the Wi-Fi driver or support for the audio card. I opened YouTube in the browser and went over to my channel just to verify that everything was working with the audio. Now, the audio quality may not sound the best, but that's because I only had a set of headphones to plug into this thing. I just wanted to verify that the audio driver was going to work for the chipset on board. One other question I had is, would this thing run from a lithium iron phosphate battery? And I can say that yes, it absolutely will run from a lithium iron phosphate battery. You will need to build a barrel connector to power poles, but it is a standard 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter barrel connector, and I'll leave a link to that down in the description below if you want to power this one with a battery. As of the time of this recording, the price on the PicoBox Pro is $199.99. However, there is a Black Friday sale, which will bring the price to $159.99. And I'll leave a link to the computer down in the description below, along with that barrel connector. So what's my plan for this little device? Well, I haven't completely made up my mind. I'm definitely going to be upgrading the RAM in this one. It would also be interesting to see, though, can we leave Windows Pro loaded onto the main drive and then load Linux Mint onto a secondary drive in the bottom of it and then have a choice of which way to boot? There are times when I need access to a Windows machine just to keep up with things that's going on in the Windows world. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3.